Mo Salah. Can he finish things off here? Here he can. It is 2-0.
And we are back. Happy New Year to you all. It has been a very long time, but we move 2022. We go again, indeed. So much to talk about. We better get started quickly. But boys, Lee, I'll go to you first, mate. How are we?
All good, mate. Happy New Year, lads.
Yeah, happy
Been
New
a while.
Year. You all good?
Yeah, sweet. How are you?
Yeah, can't complain. I mean, first week at work for most of us, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, the show goes on. I was actually quite happy to get back. I think I had like 3 weeks off, which was ridiculous. I'm never doing it again. But yeah, Chris, how's everything your end? You okay?
Fine, to be honest. Yeah, all good. Happy New Year, guys. Personally, I'm buzzing. Serie A's back tomorrow for its winter break, so I can't wait to get stuck in. But what a treat of Premier League football we've had over Christmas. Well, the games that were on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, guys, once again, we are in unprecedented times. You would not believe it. But yeah, I hope everyone is keeping well. I hope everyone is safe. Let's get into it. Breaking news today, obviously. So I think we'll start with that. Lee, I'm going to go to you on this one because obviously you're the Liverpool fan co-host here. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, and it going forward, how much do you think this will affect Liverpool in the long run? Because obviously you've got Champions League and stuff to come into as well. And I know these games are only in the next 2 weeks. The new dates have been rescheduled. But what was your thoughts on this when it was announced?
Sounds like the right decision to me. I mean, you've got the manager's got it, the assistant manager's got it. Apparently, three or four goalkeepers, as well as other players out. You've got players at AFCON. You've got injuries, and if you look at all the other games that are being postponed in the leagues and all the other leagues, the other cup competitions, it just seems like the right decision.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think the keeper thing is the main point, isn't it? Is the deal breaker and the fact that you've got your training ground completely closed off. And from what I've heard in a lot of spaces and stuff on the medias, you all train under the same camp. But Chris, for you, how worrying is it in terms of like an outside point of view? Because I know you follow Serie A as well, and there's obviously other leagues going on. Seeing all these postponed games because it's getting to a point now where it's almost hard to control.
I think, to be honest, especially in the UK in the British game and or particularly the English Premier League at the moment, we seem to be kind of dictating what life is like at the moment. We all see it, right? When we're out, we go, colleagues having to isolate and that. So really, I think it's just showing sort of national trend at the moment. From a game perspective, I think we'll touch on this a lot when we start reviewing some of the games. I think consistency is key. I think when you read the forums and you see what's coming on, there seems to be a lot of hard done by in the sense of clubs accusing other clubs of not fudging results, but being treated differently to other clubs. For example, some games you question whether they should be going ahead. Some games go ahead, and you're like, they're fielding weakened teams, and you're like, well, how comes the others, them down the road got their game off the other week and stuff like that. So I think the pressure is on that consistency, and then also with the way this year, 2022 is a World Cup year. Yes, it's up in the tail end, but the fixture list has been set now. The season has to finish at a certain time to make sure players have got a good summer, and then start the new season when we do with Qatar in view. So it's now where the Premier League then got that decision of where the hell do they shoehorn these games and stuff. I think from Liverpool perspective, you got your Leeds match and now this Arsenal game to shoehorn in whilst also trying to fight for the title and Champions League kicking off again next month.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, as long as there's still gaps in midweek, like obviously they rescheduled the Arsenal one straight away for 2 weeks' time. There's a gap in midweek for both the schedules. So, I mean, as long as there is space to replay it, I don't really see the issue. I mean, health should be the priority for everyone. It comes above football. And if there is outbreaks in clubs, then I don't see any other choice in the fact that they have to stop games.
Yeah, definitely, because in Italy now that they've started to, I think they're slightly behind the England in the sense of some of the games out there are going to get postponed this week. So Udinese's game against Fiorentina is off, and I think their follow-up game is also in jeopardy as well. So I think this is a trend you might start seeing across Europe.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we play Forest on Sunday. I believe they had a game cancelled on Monday afternoon. So the inevitable might probably happen there. So we don't even play, to be honest. If it's Thursday, then at least we've had a good 12-day break for two big games coming up. But what I'll do, I'll go from this onto the game that is happening because it's literally about to happen in the next hour. But yeah, Conte returning to the Bridge. And Chris, I'll stay with you actually, because obviously we've spoken Serie A, which you're a fan of. What's been your take on Conte at Tottenham this season, and how do you see this one going for him?
He's done exactly what I thought he would do, to be honest. He's come in, he's not upset the ship at all, really. He's shown faith in Harry Kane. I think the Harry Kane situation is now solved. I think, with Conte at the helm and, him actively saying that Harry Kane is integral to this team, I think, that's a big issue that's been solved. And I think you'll start seeing moves in January. I think Conte has made it clear that he'll be going in for a good handful of players. One of those players potentially, I think personally, he might go for is Frank Kessie of AC Milan. His contract's up in the summer, so I think you'll start once Conte starts bringing his players and also ships out the players he doesn't think fit his system or isn't working hard enough for him and the badge. Then yeah, I stand by my Tottenham for the 4th place in the league.
Interesting. And Lee, from an outside point of view, obviously Chelsea, Tottenham, we're going to touch on something in a minute, which is very going to make the stadium atmosphere maybe controversial. We don't know, and it may have a helping hand for Conte returning to the old stadium. But what do you see? What do you see this one going like, mate?
I actually love Chelsea Tottenham games. I feel like there's always it is a proper London derby. There's always a bit of added spice to it, kind of thing. Always remember the Battle of the Bridge game where there was like a million yellow cards. I'm looking forward to it. I think it will be fiery tonight. However, I like what Conte's doing with Spurs. He's got them in pole position for 4th at the moment. Obviously, pending the result of the Arsenal game. But it's built up for one of those classic Spursy moments where they bottle it in the semi-final again, in my opinion. I mean, you can bring in whatever manager you want for Spurs, but at the moment with the squad they've got, I just think they're going to crumble when it's another semi-final. I think they're going to bottle it again.
Interesting, and I mean, this takes me straight on to the sort of topic of. Well, I mean, where did we start? We were last. I feel like the last. I feel like the last time we may have been on here, and I'm probably being a bit harsh on us, but it was one of our last actual pods was discussing Lukaku and his sort of form or dip at the time. But again, going to you, Chris, because you've obviously saw a lot of him in man. Let's talk about this one, mate. A lot's gone on and been said in the last 3 days. What was your thoughts when the original interview came out?
Not surprised, to be honest. I think the issue was the way he left Milan was a hard one, in the sense of Inter admittedly have financial problems. They sold Hakimi to kind of settle their debts, and then a big offer came in for Lukaku, and the club decided to it was best to let Lukaku go. So, he always made his affinity clear that before he came to Chelsea, he wanted to stay at Inter. He was adorned by the fans. He just won the Serie A Most Valuable Player award for the season, and he just won the Scudetto. So, the Italy was literally at his fingertips, and he couldn't do anything wrong there. But then, as he said in the interview, which goes with what I understand from over the summer, was he asked Inter, for that sort of level of commitment, which didn't come, and Chelsea came with a big offer, and for him personally, you could see why he went back to Chelsea. So but then when that interview came out, I wasn't surprised about the content, because his love of Inter has always been well known. But it's just the timing of it, really. You're 3 months into a new club, trying to win over the fans. You've been out with injury, you're still not hitting that sort of level of form of a £95 million player. And then you make those comments, and it betrayed you understand the betrayal of the Chelsea fans. And it really annoyed the Inter fans as well, because the Inter fans saw the whole Chelsea move as him chasing money, and he moved to Chelsea and said, "I'm so happy to be home." He kissed the Chelsea badge, and it was almost like that sort of like breakup with Inter was just brushed under the carpet. So it surfaced a lot of tensions both here in England and over on the Italian side as well.
Yeah, well, I've just actually read that he's starting tonight, which I don't think is a surprise, considering the price that was put on him. But Lee, going forward from that, do you see that as the right decision? Like, what was the next step from here? And obviously, you've got to put the price tag into account as well, haven't you?
I mean, he's always going to come back into the lineup at some point, won't he? That's obviously why it kind of feels like Roman put one of his snipers to his head yesterday when the apology video came out. I don't think it looked that sincere.
I thought it was too soon, personally. I think if you're that sorry, it needs to take a couple of days for you to digest the situation.
I mean, if I was a Chelsea fan, I would just be like, just fuck off out of my club. I'd like to be pulling stunts like that after only being there for a couple of months. And most of the reason you haven't played is probably because of your injury. You're not bigger than the club. The club's bigger than you. So it's outrageous. I'm not surprised he's back though, because obviously Chelsea have had a depleted squad. They need him. And before the interview come out, I think it was recorded before he had his little. He scored like 2 goals in 2 games or whatever, his little comeback. So obviously he put in a couple of good performances. So I'm not surprised he's come back in.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the main point is, and this goes for many situations that have happened. We've had it with Xhaka. Obviously Tottenham have had it with Harry Kane.
Spurs had it with Harry Kane. Yeah.
Yeah. So the important message is, which every player should remember: the badge on the front the name on the front is more important than the name on the back,
Exactly
it's always going to be that way. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's chalk and cheese with this game tonight. I don't want to play Chelsea at Wembley. I don't want to play Tottenham at Wembley, and we still need to beat you lot as well. But yeah, I'm hoping for his sake he puts on a good performance, because I like to think he is still a good player. And he's still not. Yeah. He's still got years in his. So they need to move forward. Him, that being fans, the player, and the team.
If he's starting, like you said, he could bully Eric Dyer and Sanchez today.
Yeah, 100%.
You got to treat. It's a business at the end of the day, and you got a £95 million asset. He's gonna have to get involved. But I think then the 2 examples you gave just then really is those players that have been at a club for a long time. We're talking about a player that's literally joined 3 months ago and is now saying I want to go back.
Yeah, I mean,
as he joined, he was saying, like Chris said earlier, it's like kissing the badge. I'm home. And
yeah.
It's laughable.
Yeah, absolutely laughable as well. He did it at M Stadium. He actually did it as well. So I don't know. All to the back of my head. But
that's why I get really annoyed when those players celebrate goals like that. They kiss the badge. It's the most hated celebration. It's so
then they piss off 5 months later.
Yeah, exactly.
The funny thing is, Inter can't afford him, so I don't know what he's. I don't know what he's hoping for. But Chelsea too.
He won't get no chance. They still need to get rid of Martinez. They said they were going to get rid of both of them, didn't they, at the beginning? So
yeah, it was either or. They can build their team. Yeah, they can build their team around Martinez now. So
okay, so the sort of financial situation removed.
Yeah,
but what I want to do, I want to move backwards, because I feel like we should talk about last weekend's games, and Chelsea were involved. Obviously, Lukaku wasn't included in that. More inconsistency and controversy, like we've been discussing with COVID and the postponement. And in this game, we saw it back to basics, VAR, referees. Lee, talk me through this one, mate. A lot of people are saying it was the title race decider, that, whoever loses is out of it. A draw was potentially going to put both of them out of it. What's your thoughts on the game and those sort of comments? I'll say.
So I can't hear you very well because my AirPods have just run out of battery.
That's all right.
So yeah, thoughts on the game. I thought it was one of the best games of the season, to be fair. I mean, that first half was absolutely phenomenal. Played at a ridiculous pace. I mean, you could see how knackered the players were at the end. From a Liverpool point of view, I was a bit disappointed that it seems to be the same story this season. We get a lead and we just can't seem to control the game. I think that's where we miss players like Thiago when he can't stay fit. So he obviously controls the midfield a lot. We could have done with him because our midfield looked very poor. In terms of refereeing decisions, Mane was maybe a little bit lucky to stay on at the start. I don't think there was much else to moan about.
Yeah, do you
I
think?
can remember, to be honest, it was a couple of days ago now. So, yeah, it was,
do you think that if it happens later, can you hear me, Lee?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah. If it happens later on in the game, he's off for that, isn't he? Because it obviously happened within like 3 minutes of the game, I think it was.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, referee saw it, so I don't know. It's hard because it's not like a full elbow; it's his arm.
Yeah.
I suppose it's not looking at the player. But I know if I was Azpilicueta's side and someone's done that to me on the pitch, I would be screaming for a red card. And it's not the first time he's done it. We all know he's got a bit of a reputation for it, and he gets away with it every time as well. But in terms of the title race, I think from a Liverpool fans' perspective, we've just got to take it one game at a time, try and win every game, and just hope that City can slip up. Because you only have to look at title races in the past. There's been plenty of times teams have had big leads and they've let them slip over the course of a season. We've got half a season to go, roughly, so you never know.
Yeah, good point. And Chris, I think you were going to touch on something there, mate. With was it the Mane reputation? I'm not sure.
No, I think it was just more about like I'm just actually trying to claw my head and think about like this just doesn't seem to be much clamping down on elbows these days. Like, you know, back in like the early, the noughties and the 90s, Alan Shearer picked up a red card for an elbow every 7, 8, 9 games, and I'm actually trying to think about actually when was the last time someone actually got sent off for a proper malicious elbow to the head. It just seems to be played down a lot these days as 50-50 yellow cards.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if this thing about the reputation is put into play, which apparently it is, the referees take the reputation on board. Mane had like 3 red cards in one season at Southampton, and he's carried that sort of aggression on at Liverpool. Maybe not being sent off, but I think that just shows, that they are maybe letting players get away with it, and players are thinking, I can do this now, I'll do it again. But we'll see. I mean, you could say it would have had, but Chelsea put on a great performance. I'm going to speak about Chelsea very briefly because I don't like giving them too much credit, but I thought their midfield was good. But then again, they are up against, I thought, a very deflated Liverpool. You were lacking certain people. Before we move on, Lee, what's been your take on the inclusion of Milner over certain other midfielders? Because obviously Keita was on the bench. Do you think that was just a precaution?
I
had to ask you because I have
from the fact he's away at Stamford Bridge and he wants someone solid, someone who's going to put the effort in. Obviously, Milner's a leader. He's been vice captain pretty much since he got to the club. We didn't have that many options, to be honest. And Keita's like 50-50 with him. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if he's going to go off injured. You know if he's going to play crap. I'm not his biggest fan since he signed, to be honest. He's let us down so many times. I have no problem with Milner being included. It's a bit worrying if you're chasing the title and you still got a 36-year-old starting in midfield.
Try having a 40-year-old in attack.
But yeah, I didn't have a problem with it at the start, to be honest. And actually, throughout most of the game, I thought he'd done all right, apart from giving away a silly free kick, which led to one of the goals. I thought he'd done all right. He puts a good tackle in. I have no problem with James Milner.
Yeah, fair play. So I mean, it was an interesting weekend of games. Like you had second against third, and then you had first against fourth. I don't want to get myself pissed off again, so I'm just going to touch on this quick. But yeah, the show goes on. It was I thought we were outstanding, absolutely outstanding, and we're going to touch on certain players that have performed this season. And again, Saka was just brilliant. He had like 7 of City's players on ropes. It was just amazing to see, like he's a young player and you've got about 6 or 7 of the best players in the league, all not best players of the best team in the league, all surrounding him like he's God's gift. I was gutted more than anything because I know they deserved a win, and I'm sure many Man City fans and players will agree to that we were the better team. I think Pep Guardiola even come out and said it. But yeah, the show goes on. It's a promising start to the year because we've got a big month ahead of us. But we move forward. We'll go into the league in general, and I know we're going to do some sort of season awards in a bit. But I want to get your take on, other than the usual player, the usual teams. Has there been anyone that stood out for you so far this season, Lee, that has actually impressed you and gone above expectation? As a team, sorry, I don't know if I put that in.
Team. Brentford, to be fair, for me. I know they're pretty much mid-table at the moment, but I think most people, when they got promoted, thought, yeah, they're going straight back down. Thought there'd be another Norwich. Yeah, I've been impressed by them. They're usually quite difficult to play against for most teams. They've got some good results, some good wins, good draws. And Brighton as well. I've actually been really impressed with Brighton. They play really good football. I think it's the draw they got against Chelsea the other night.
Yeah. Danny
Welbeck.
Welbeck. What?
I
Welbeck.
think they were actually a better team in that game.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, you've got to be a good team to outplay Chelsea, to be fair. So I've been very impressed with Brighton this season. And I think actually Wolves have been a bit of a surprise package. I think when everyone thought the change of manager, they might drop a bit lower down the league. But their defensive record's phenomenal, and they're in the top 8. So they're my 3 picks, I think. Obviously, West Ham as well, I suppose, are the obvious.
I think West Ham get forgotten about these days because they've had a bit of a dip with the injuries. But yeah, I mean, you can't forget what Moyes has been doing.
Yeah, I suppose they were up there last season, weren't they? So it's just consistency for them. They're doing well to stay consistent to last year.
Yeah, I suppose people now expect it of West Ham, if you get what I mean, rather than actually. But we'll go in some mid-season awards. Obviously, we saw sort of Neville and Redknapp do it, and for me, I like to wait until the fat lady is sung, because we've still got a lot of the league to go on to. But I'll start with you, Chris. I'm going to start with best player, but I think this is obvious. I think there's literally no one else I could give it to. I think if anyone did, it's shambles. It's a disaster. But yeah, go for it, mate. What's been your thoughts on him this season?
Oh, it's just been absolutely sensational. Just think when you think, he can't take it to another level, Mohamed Salah just turns it up a notch. I think you're excelling so much above, in world football when you go into a game and everyone's expecting you to score.
Yeah.
It is almost a surprise when you're not on the score sheet. I think from a right winger perspective, it's just incredible. Like his goal against Chelsea, it was, anyone else scores that, it's absolutely fantastic. But Salah, it's just you just expect it. Like it's just such an easy finish and such a good move, and he's always there at the right place. So yeah, Mohamed Salah, top goal scorer coming up at the end of the year, and probably player of the year as well.
Yeah, good shouts. Lee, I'll go to you because obviously you're a Liverpool fan. You've been enjoying this more than anyone. Where do you think this has been like a point now where he's obviously got a new contract to play for? I mean, now he's had it in his locker for many seasons. He's consistent, but this is just on another level. He's close to breaking records. I think the record in the league is 33, if I'm right. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to probably check, but I'm pretty sure 33 goals in the season. And he's at stupid levels already. We've still got 19, probably for you guys, 18 games to play, I believe, because you're 1 game in hand. What's your take on it on Salah this season? And what do you think sort of made him step up a notch?
He's just always, since he's come to Liverpool, he's always had that attitude of just wanting to be better, stay consistent, and just year after year just wants to improve. There's obviously people have moaned in past instances that maybe he can be a little bit selfish, but I haven't seen that in his game this season either. He seems to be a lot less selfish. He's getting some decent assists as well, but he's just one of those people who's got that like elite mindset. He just wants to do the best he can every game. He's breaking records. He wants to be the best player in the world. He wants to be recognised for being the best player in the world. He wants that golden boot. I don't know. He's just got a fantastic mentality.
Yeah, I completely echo it. And
some of the stuff he's doing, it's almost Messi like this season. A lot of his goals previous seasons you could say have been they've been tap-ins or one-on-ones, penalties. Like, if you look at his goals against like Man City, Watford, the Chelsea one the other day, are absolutely superb.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's just likable character off the field as well, and I'm looking forward to seeing when that contract is put on the table for him.
I couldn't believe, right, Garth Crooks didn't put him in the team of the year.
I tell you what, I can't bloody stand that man. I can't stand him. But that is confirming all my doubts on the guy. Like, he literally walks in everyone's first hand for like, he's the first choice without a doubt. You can't look at those sort of stats, those numbers at this time of the season and not include him. I'm sorry.
I think Salah aside, there'd be two other players who could possibly run him close. Well, not actually. I don't think anyone runs him close, but if he wasn't there, I would say possibly this season it'd be two City players for me. It'd be Bernardo Silva and Cancelo.
Yep, agreed. I think if anyone's there, I think Salah's there by a far distance, but I think them two are behind. If anyone, I agree with that. Let's go to young player, Chris. I'll go back to you, mate. But I think this one we've all been a bit divided. Obviously, we've been talking in a group chat, and it seems a little bit divided, which I'm not going to say surprised by because I'll sound biased. Obviously, people understand what I mean in a minute. But going to you, Chris. Who's your young player so far this season, mate?
I'm going to have to go with Conor Gallagher. I think from Crystal Palace. I think Palace in general, will have been my sort of surprise package when Vieira was appointed. I did say it, and I'm eating humble pie right now with a spoon. I thought Crystal Palace would struggle under Patrick Vieira. His record in previously wasn't great, but he's building something at Palace, and they've got an identity, and Gallagher seems to is crucial to that, and he's been an absolute revelation. As a midfielder, the goals he's scoring are absolutely fantastic, and there will come a question at the end of we'll have that sort of like debate at the end of the season of what is next for Gallagher. Does he stay? Does he go back to Chelsea and fight for his places there, or could he be loaned out somewhere else, or would he be shipped out? So it'd be I think there'll be quite a lot of suitors if that latter option is decided.
Yeah, a good shout with Gallagher. That's a good point as well. But I forget he's on loan. But the thing is with Chelsea, they are on a move up, aren't they? So there's only going to be more and more competition for Gallagher to move into. And I think they'll be getting rid of players like Loftus-Cheek, Barkley. And if he goes in, he's going to have a big job in his hands because they're going to bring players in. Tuchel's going to want to build a system. He's still there. He's still sort of adapting to bringing players he wants. Lee, mate, who's your best young player mid-season?
I was going to go for. I know your choice is then. So I was going to go for him at first, but then when I thought about it, an actual how old you have to be to qualify to be young, I actually went with Declan Rice.
Yep.
He's still only 22. I think that still qualifies as young.
Yeah, I think under 23s is fair, definitely.
Yeah, I think people think he's older than that because his performances are so mature now. He's come off the back of an absolutely outstanding.
He looks about 28 as well, did he?
Yeah, he doesn't. Captains the team a lot as well. So, But he's come off a summer from an outstanding Euros, and I feel like he's taken his game to an even bigger level this season. He's obviously been last couple of years. He's been a very reliable defensive mid for West Ham. It seems this season he seems to have elevated. I don't want to hype him up too much and say he's the next Steven Gerrard, but he seems to be driving forward in the midfield more. I think you saw it with his assist last weekend. He just it's quite a few times this year. He just drives through the middle and no one seems to stop him.
Was that the Lanzini goal?
Yeah.
Yeah, class finish. Yeah, I was just thinking.
But yeah, I think he deserves to be playing Champions League football now. I think that's the level he's at. I've been really impressed by him.
Have you got any idea? Where do you think he'll end up? Obviously, Liverpool.
I don't think West Ham will sell him. So I think West Ham will try their best to keep hold of him for as long as they possibly can, and they'll put a massive price tag on him. So obviously he's got the English tax on him as well. Still young, churning out. In most West Ham games, he's pretty much the best player. I don't know. Obviously, everyone seems to say Chelsea because obviously I think he was there as a kid. Did he get rejected?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. He was in the Chelsea academy, so it seems like the right.
Mason Mount's obviously like his best mate. and if it's not Chelsea, maybe United, they're crying out for that kind of player, aren't they?
Oh, God forbid if he goes United.
So
There's
way
tell
they're
you what,
playing
it'd solve, it'd solve a huge issue for United, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the upgrade from Fred and McTominay to Rice would be huge.
To him, yeah. I don't know. If he goes to United, I just feel like it's going to take a while for him to actually adapt because they've got so many other elephants in the dressing room. Like
I
they've
feel
got
like
too
he
much.
fit Chelsea's style of play more.
Definitely,
The only thing with Chelsea and Man City is just the level of rotation. Like I think we're realizing this with Jack Grealish. £100 million player to go be part of rotation at Man City. Declan Rice is the sort of player that wants to play week in, week out, every week. A team like Man United would probably give him that because they play Fred and McTominay every week. Or staying at West Ham and becoming, if West Ham can elevate themselves to those sort of levels. It's that top four. If Spurs and Man United included, and Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, or top five, I guess you could say. It just becomes such a close knit sort of teams that it's hard to break into those teams, and it's very much based around a lot of time, and a lot of those teams are based on flavour of the months. And if you're not flavour of the month anymore, you're going to find yourself at the exit door.
I think it'd definitely make a good fist of getting in the Chelsea teams. I mean, Kante is obviously world class, but he does seem to have a lot of injury problems lately. There's rotation between Jorginho and Kovacic. I think he's got a very good chance of getting in front of them.
I think, like Chris touched on as well, the weight is so much bigger on your shoulders when you go to these clubs as well, because like it's and we go back to the Lukaku situation. He's just added fuel to his own fire because he got bought for 95 mil. He always had a point to prove, and then now he's gone and done this. But of course, mine is this man. There's no surprise here whatsoever. Like, to be honest, I think it was always between him and one or two. I feel like he's just been the complete difference in our team. He's gone from being Saka and Starboy this and Starboy that. He's now on the same level. People are comparing him with. They're comparing him with players that I really thought were steps above him, but rightly so, because this season he's scored. I think he's definitely our top goal scorer by a distance now. And he's not even been playing. Like the last 3-4 games, he's not even played. And he's still coming on and showing fight and nicking a goal here or there. I think he's outstanding. The fact he's flexible, can adapt in the 10 role or the number 7. I love that. I think that's just icing on the cake, personally. And you know what? The future's so bright. I'm gutted for him that it's not like he's not playing anymore. But when I look at his age, I think it's good because he's got so much time to just look at that and think, you know what? I'm here for the long run. Well, I hope he's here for the long run. And I've got, the future is bright. He's first team capable, don't get me wrong. It's just unfortunate that Odegaard has been out completely excelling right next to him. But yeah, for me, it was a no-brainer. Considering I'm a Gooner and I see it first hand, first out sort of thing, I don't think there was any player on his level. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. I think he's done more for us than what any player's done to any other team this season at a young age, before people bring up Mo Salah and stuff. But I think, Lee, you said that was who you meant, wasn't it? About because I didn't know if it was Saka
he would have been my other choice, yeah.
Yeah, Saka's close. I just think it took a little bit longer for Saka to get the ball rolling, but this one should be interesting.
The thing I love about the Saka, as I say, the thing I love about the Saka thing is actually when you think about where he was in July, missing that penalty in the European Championships final, that makes or breaks someone's career. And Saka has kicked on massively, and at the moment, he's probably one of the most informed players in the league at the moment. For December, he was insane for December.
Unbelievable. I mean, people like he's one player you can't just look at the stats. Like you can't sit and think, oh, he's stat padding, because he has so much influence on every goal. Even if he's not getting the assist, he's like a assist player, and I think, and he's still getting assists here or there. But I think he's fantastic.
Big guy Harvey Elliott got injured early on in the season because I think he might have been in the shout for this.
Yeah, actually, that's a good shout. He kicked it. He clicked into gear quite quick, didn't he? And then he just He's back training though, so you could have him
Yeah.
back sooner than you think. You never know. This will be an interesting one. Best signing mid-season. I tell you what, a lot of people would think. I'll start with because I'll be quite short here. A lot of people would think I'd go with Ramsdale, but I personally do think some of our fan base are getting too excited. I think he's done well, but I don't think he's had the influence that people are making out. I think he's good. You know, he's kept us in games. He's got a good distribution, but this has got to be Emmanuel Dennis for me. I think he is out. He's just completely took Watford up a notch. And the fact that they're in a sort of relegation battle, they needed signing of this quality. You know, they had Dini in their front line for years. They've now got a player of his caliber who I just think he's amazing. I genuinely think he's amazing. I'm not going to say he's to a level where he can take it up a notch yet because I like what he's doing at Watford and I wouldn't fix what isn't broken. But yeah, the goals he's getting in, like I think he's what they call an FPL savior. He's someone that you can just rely on to be here or there. And yeah, good luck to him. Like from what I'm hearing, he hasn't gone to AFCON. I don't know if that's changed in the last 24 hours, but I think that's worked out quite well for Watford because if you take him out of their team now, whether it's 2 or 3 games, God forbid. But yeah, moving on to yours, Lee. I'll go to you next because you're sort of you're down the room. Who's your best signing mid-season?
Yeah, so I've got a few really. I think Ramsdale's up there, but I mean, I think for the price you paid, you would expect big performances. Maybe people weren't expecting him to come in as number 1, which is the big shock. And people thought he was based on his previous form for Sheffield United. He wasn't going to be that good, but it turns out he is. So, but I think there's another goalkeeper that tops him, which would probably take my crown for signing this season. That's the Wolves keeper. Obviously, he only cost.
I'm eating humble pie, by the way. I was there saying like, what is never won about? He's actually incredible. I went back, watched clips, watched his game against United. Nah, fair play.
He was about 7 mil and. Yeah, well, like I said, I think I said it earlier. Wolves' defensive record has been great, and he's obviously played a big part in that. I think there's a couple of other players you can mention as well, like maybe Damari Gray was only 1.5 mil. I know Everton.
So many people forgetting about him. So many people forgetting about him.
I mean, Everton are on a massive slide at the moment, so maybe he wouldn't make my top 3, but he has been, I think, he has been a good signing. And obviously Dennis, like you said, he's obviously scored some vital goals for Watford. I think a lot of his all-round play is not brilliant. From what I was watching the other day, he kept giving the ball away, and it was annoying me, to be honest, because I wanted Watford to win that game.
Bit of a poacher, really, isn't he? He's a poacher, but he's got a little bit more sort of thing.
Yeah, but I think the Wolves keeper tops it for me.
Yeah, good shout. Good shout. I think with Wolves, right, just quickly before we go to Chris, the problem for me is that they're getting the defensive part right, but they're lacking goals. Yeah, like they've scored 14 goals in 20 games. Like I think it's 18. They're 2 games in hand. Like that's ridiculous. 14 goals in 18 games. That would usually relegate you. A team has to be like very, very, very bad to be below that. I think Norwich and I'm guessing one other, probably Newcastle, are below them. So for me, I like Wolves. I like what Bruno Lage is doing and stuff. But if it weren't for him, and considering, was it? I'm not going to pronounce the first name. Patricio, that was their last goalkeeper. Is it Roy? Did they pronounce it Roy?
Rui? I say Rui.
It's Rui Patricio. Yeah, he's not Roma.
Yeah, and that was like I'm imagining they sort of sold for more and bought for less. So fair play to him for it paying off. But yeah, I think if Wolves just get something going in terms of their attack and get the goals going,
that's got to be their plan in January and the next summer, because I think when you look at like a manager blueprint, a lot of managers like to build from the backs, get their defences sorted first, get the spine of the team, and then start thinking of goals, getting the attacking side sorted after. That's like the old school style, anyway.
Get rid of Traore.
Maybe they're taking that route. They've obviously had to wait a long time for Jimenez to come back.
Yeah, no, fair play to Jose Sarr. He has been outstanding. Humble pie again. 2 keepers making me eat humble pie in one season. Phenomenal. But
Chris is going to pick Lukaku, isn't he?
No. I'm gonna go Ronaldo. No. Actually, touching on Wolves, I saw a stat earlier today. And I can't remember what the number is, but basically, it's been ages since a Wolves game had more than 2 goals. So more than one goal. Yeah,
Not
more than
this
one
season.
goal.
Not this season. They haven't. I know that.
Yeah, I think it's been a lot, I can't remember how many months it's been, but yeah, it's been a lot of games in a row since which has either been a 1-0 defeat or a 1-0 win, and that's
Chris,
it.
before you give your signing, do you not think that's worrying considering the players they've brought in and the players they've got? I know Pedro Neto is out. I heard a ridiculous statement on a space yesterday, and I tell you what, it made me leave the space, and that's when you know it's bad. But someone said if Wolves had Pedro Neto, there'd be a Champions League team, and I just had to log off because I just thought, you know what, I've heard enough. I need a drink. But yeah, I mean, he's a good player. I think Liverpool were after him at one stage, Neto actually. But for me, they've got Trincao. If I've pronounced that wrong, let me know, Chris. You're the
No,
Podence
that's
is a
right.
decent little player.
Trincao, Podence, Jimenez, Traore, and they've got Matinho. Okay, he's age. Fair play to Goldie up, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Absolute scenes. They've got Neves, who was outstanding against United the other day. So, do you think they've got enough there to be getting the goals in? Where do you think it's going wrong? Do you think it's the system?
I think, to be honest, I think it's just need to kind of need to look at their attack definitely. Like Jimenez hasn't been the same player ever since he came back from his injury, and it's sad because it was such a freak accident. But before the injury, he was so imposing. It was like that. But I think, as Lee says, Wolves are very much going old school. They're getting their defense sorted, and I think the attack will come. Like the Wolves aren't risking the relegation, and with the amount of money that's been pumped into the top 6, 7, 8 teams, I just don't think Wolves won't break that top 7. I think very much they're going to be a stable mid-table team going forward. I think maybe one occasionally they'll flirt with those Europa League places, and you'd like to see that because they've got a good philosophy and a good team that are getting built there. But yeah, I think they should look at it. Like Trincao, how old is he? Like 20, I think 2021.
Yeah,
So
he's very young.
They got a lot of youngsters going to come in through it as well, and I think it's it's enjoyable to watch in some ways, the Wolves project as it is. But yeah, I think they definitely need to actually this January and probably the summer need to look at sort of their signings.
Good stuff. And who's your signing of the season, mate?
I'm going down the bottom end as well, to be honest, because it was such a left field signing when they got him. But Burnley getting Maxwell Cornet from Lyon for 13.5 million. Given the stereotype we have of Burnley and the style of football, I think Maxwell Cornet, he's only played, made 10 appearances, but when he has played, he has looked sharp. He's there in the box. He's clinical. He's a bit of a finisher as well, 6 goals. But yeah, it's just so left field of Burnley that it's actually, I think if they're going to get out of the relegation zone, then Maxwell is going to be a big part of that.
Maxwell, and when they sign Aaron Ramsey.
If that happens, then God bloody forbid football. Like, if I see Ramsey in the Burnley shirt,
have you not heard one of them today? Then Phil Coutinho might be Phil Coutinho might be wearing a burgundy shirt.
Oh, Villa.
Yeah, no, but that I can respect. Coutinho and Danny Ings back at it. That I'm all for. Like, and I love Villa.
And Gerrard.
I'll be honest.
Gerrard reunited as well.
Yeah, like it'll be interesting to see if that happens. It'll be interesting to see what comes down that route. What Gerrard can do with him. But yeah, Coutinho for me, like I've seen Liverpool fans say, should we be signing him because we are out of depth? No, he's nowhere near that level. I think Villa, something like that, perfect for him. And you know what? It just says a lot about. I think you said this on the group chat earlier, Lee, but it says a lot about Buendia as a signing if they are needing to bring someone in like Coutinho, because I don't see how that all works when you've got Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, Buendia, and Coutinho.
Yeah,
I know who's
if we was talking worse signings, I think Buendia would be up there for me.
Yeah, actually, let's go to Rome very quickly. I want to see if we're all going to say the same thing. I'd say him. Chris, who would your worst signing be? Say Ronaldo for the giggles.
I want to say Ronaldo, but he's kind of done the Champions League.
Sancho. I'd say Sancho actually because he hasn't been used enough yet.
Saul Niguez.
Oh yeah, Jesus.
And he's on loan.
But I remember when he was like, he'd go back to my flavour of the month comment. He was like flavour of the season, like 2 years ago. It was like, every Premier League team was like, who's going to get Stanley Gares? And finally he's come, and he's just sitting on the bench at Chelsea.
And when he does play, it's terrible. He gets dragged off at half time.
Yeah, he doesn't even make their midfield. But yeah, last but not least, before we wrap it up, best manager mid-season. I think this one's difficult. I generally think this is difficult because I don't want to give it to Pep because I feel like they're doing what City should be doing. Chris, I'm going to go to you first, mate, because I don't know.
I'm gonna stand by the guy I was talking about right at the start of the pod. I'm gonna go with Antonio Conte. Yes, he's only been in half of the season or quarter of the season, but I think when you actually look at where Spurs were, they had no attacking prowess whatsoever. They were playing games and not registering a shot. Yes, that trend continued for 1 or 2 games, but now, given that the players they have, they're moving up the table and they're putting in positive results. And I think Conte he's unbeaten. I think it is in Premier League games.
Yeah.
So yeah,
he's getting jobs done.
Yeah, he's getting the job done, and this is before he's even gone shopping yet. So I think you talk about managers who come in and coaching the players and getting their philosophies across. Considering what he's done in that short amount of time with that team, you got to applaud it. Now the pressure's on when he gets his checkbook and goes shopping.
Yeah, big month for January for Spurs. I've not seen anything done yet, but I imagine they're going to try and get rid of, well, at least a few players. Lee, coming to you, mate. Manager of the season so far.
So yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier to you guys. It was I find it hard to pick one because I feel like there's been some good ones. I think Pep, even though with the City squad, he does deserve a mention because they wouldn't play the way they play without his management. And obviously they're racing clear. I mean, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. I feel like they're 3 teams that are just so much above the rest of the league, and City are just running away with it, 8 points clear, wherever it is. And I mean, you need to have a fantastic manager to be able to come ahead of Chelsea and Liverpool, and I think he deserves a mention despite the squad he's got for the job he's doing.
Yeah.
To pick one manager is difficult, but I think I'll possibly go with Graham Potter.
Yeah.
I just think the football he's got Brighton playing are fantastic. They're riding
They've
high.
still got bloody Lallana and Welbeck playing for him. Like, you've got to give them some credit. They haven't got a full squad, have they?
They haven't really got any superstar names except for maybe obviously Bissouma's getting a lot of credit lately. And I like obviously Tariq Lamptey right back, looking very good. And Trossard as well. But I think Graham Potter would probably tip it just above Moyes and the Brentford gaffer for me.
Yeah, I was between Potter and Moyes, but based on what I've seen in the last 3 or 4 games from West Ham,
I think you see Arteta there.
No. I mean, I could.
Arteta out a few weeks ago.
No, I'm not going to be controversial because there has been dips for Arteta, and I still feel like there's a mountain to climb for him. And he's got a good bunch to work with. Whereas Potter, the players he's getting some sort of results with, I find incredible. Like, they lost Ben White, and if you look in that team right now, I couldn't name you a player other than Bissouma that's probably worth more than 30 million. That's some sort of superstar name. They've got Maupay as a bloody number 9. I hate the guy. Like, he just scores these 93rd minute goals each time, and I can't stand him. But you know what? Fair play to Potter for making the best out of a bad bunch, and I hope it continues because teams like Brighton are the ones that I want to see in this league, and teams like Burnley, as much as I like what Maxwell Cornet is doing, are the teams that I want to see drop down. But yeah, it's got to be Potter for me, considering the.
turf more on a Tuesday night. Come on.
No, not for me. I hate the. At least he's got him playing better football and scoring more goals. But I just don't like.
Burnley is staying up for me. I think Watford are going down.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think I preach for the converted when I say that Burnley should be back downstairs because they just play bus station football and I can't stand it. Like, they just put every man and his dog behind the ball.
Well, let's get Stoke City back up then, all right? If Burnley go down.
Nah, I'm quite happy West Brom are coming back up though. I'll tell you what, I'm quite happy West Brom are coming back up. So
but I think back onto the managers, I think obviously Chris mentioned Conte. I think Gerrard as well. I didn't put them into my debate because I still feel like they're too new to the job, for both of them. But obviously, I feel like they're both doing very good jobs, and in a couple months' time, or come the end of the season, they could be viable candidates if they carry on their form.
Great shout. Yeah, I mean, and we'll see what happens in January for Gerrard, but if Coutinho comes through, then fair play to him. He has delivered. Guys, we are going to wrap up. It's a Wednesday evening. We've got work to get to tomorrow. Still the first week back, but hope everyone's been okay. We're going to be back next week to discuss some transfers. Hopefully, the outcome of those semi-finals in the Carabao Cup and the games ahead in the Premier League, including the London Derby. We're back in business. Enjoy it the rest of your week. Take care.
FA Cup weekend.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot because, in fact, it'll be interesting to see how many of those games go on, considering the different leagues that are affected and involved. I don't know. I can't see much football happening. I don't know about you boys, but considering the climate, obviously the Notts Forest game, I don't know what's going to happen. Lee, I don't know what's going to happen with you against Shrewsbury. I'll be very surprised if there's a lot of games on, if I'm being completely real, because you've got the Championship involved, you've got us involved, and it's just hot everywhere at the moment. But yeah, I'm quite confident for Notts Forest away. If it happens, I'm sure we'll play some young boys, and I think the job will get done. But yeah, I'm just glad we may have a little bit of a longer break for the London Derby. Hopefully Gabriel is fit, because now it looks like not fit. Sorry. Hopefully he is playing at the weekend. Well, could play, because otherwise he's out against you, Lee, and you've got every one of your players back on the second leg, so it's annoying.
Not quite.
Well, no, not your bread and butter in Salah and Mane, but hope this is the thing with COVID, right? This is the thing. It affects so many different things and players and people. Like now, it's about Gabriel being suspended. What game's he going to be suspended for? The list goes on. But yeah, we'll be back next week to talk transfers, the London Derby, and much more. Hope you guys take care and have a good rest of the week. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.